Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show, we're going to have a pretty interesting versus match for you guys. So pretty much we have Cedar Point in one side and pretty much most of the theme parks in the UK on the other. Unfortunately, I haven't been to all of them, so I can't do an entirety of the UK versus Cedar Point, but the parks I'm missing aren't exactly the big ones. For example, I've been to like Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Blackpool, Drayton Manor, Oakwood, Legoland, and a couple of other smaller ones. So kind of got a really good mix of parks in there. I've spent about 4 days or so at Cedar Point in my lifetime, and that was last year, so it's all pretty fresh. And the reason is I just want to see if US parks, or a few of them, are better than the entire lineups in certain countries. So let's go for it. It's going to be a little bit interesting. I actually don't really know, because I haven't really thought this through overly, which way around this will go, who will come out on top, what the criteria is for coming out on top, but I'm sure we'll figure it out during the course of the video. Right, let's actually start with the roller coasters. It's actually a really awkward one, because obviously the UK has a lovely selection of roller coasters. Unfortunately, most of them aren't that tall. For example, the tallest one in the UK is the big one, followed by Stalford Thorpe Park. So we have a serious lack of giga coasters or hyper coasters in this country. Whereas the US park, in terms of Cedar Point, has 5. I suppose it might be 6 now. Obviously, Sea of Vengeance wasn't open when I went there, unfortunately. And at the same point, I haven't as yet been on Wicker Man or Icon in the UK as yet. So there's a slight part battle there. But so clearly, there's taller roller coasters in the US. What about the quality of them? Well, 2 Cedar Point coasters make up my top 10. There are none from the UK at the moment. It's a really strange one, because there are some really good coasters in the UK, like for example Nemesis is really good. I'm actually a big fan of the Swarm. I quite like the Smile, though I don't think it's quite as good as people think it is, but still good. The big one was good fun, but yeah, they don't compete very well. I mean, when you have rides like Gatekeeper, Millennium Force, Maverick, Top Thrill Dragster, it just doesn't turn out very well for you. I mean, it has to be said, on the roller coaster side of it, I think you have to give it to Cedar Point. I think, which is really mad, because I mean, it's one of the things. Cedar Point is one of the capitals of roller coasters in the world, so, and it has a lot of high quality rides. Like, I mean, I'll put it this way, like, for example, Wicked Twister, which is not a particularly well-known roller coaster. It's over 200 feet. It's a intimate impulse coaster, and it's really good fun. Went on it a couple of times I was there, but that is probably better than most roller coasters in the UK. I mean, for example, it's better than anything at Drayton Manor, like Legoland, Chesterton World Adventure, stuff like that. I mean, I'll put it this way, it would probably be a really good ride at Thorpe Park or Alton Towers. I mean, that's the kind of standard the UK theme park industry has. There are some really good roller coasters, but overall, most of them are pretty meh. We have a lot of girl style coasters. We have a lot of kind of small kind of B&Ms, like the inverts and stuff like that. And also, we have a lot of world firsts in the UK. It seems to be a bit of a testing ground for new roller coaster designs, which is very exciting in some ways, because it means you get the latest concepts and ideas. But in terms of what it looks like 5-10 years later, they seem to have aged quite a bit, and what rides have actually been built have then been massively improved upon. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I mean, Maverick is hands down better than anything in the UK. If that was in a theme park by itself in the UK, it would be the best roller coaster in the UK by a mile. It would probably be one of the best theme parks in the UK because of that. And if you were to put that and Millennium Force in the same theme park, that theme park would probably be easily miles ahead of everything else in the UK. So, without any doubts, in terms of roller coasters, it goes to Cedar Point. Now, the second one is really difficult to think up, and that is to do with thrill rides. So the UK actually has a really good selection of thrill rides. Overall, we have things like Maelstrom at Drayton Manor, Apocalypse also at Drayton Manor. Thorpe Park has a really cool selection of rides. Alton Towers has a couple. The UK tends to be really strong when it comes towards this sort of attraction. We tend to build them quite frequently, and they tend to be of quite a high standard. It's really awkward, this, because with recent developments at Fort Park and Alton Towers, the quality and diversity of like our thrill ride has been taken down a notch. Obviously, there's no longer the slammer. That's like going to be shut, unfortunately, and that's a really good ride. That was possibly one of the ones which actually could be amazing at Cedar Point because it's so unique and interesting, and the scale of it's massive. And then you're just left with like things like Rush, and it's like it's a good fun ride, but like the one at Cedar Point is considerably better. It's one of those things. It probably Cedar Point just takes it. I mean, I would say that Drayton Manor actually probably does the best thrill rides in the UK. They may not be like the tourist or anything for that, but they're certainly the most fun. And Pockets is probably the best drop tower. Maelstrom is probably the actual best thrill rides and it's stuff like that. But it's just the quality of Cedar Point and the fact that it has like 5 or 6, like, and I just don't think it's one of the things. I think oddly, if this had been done like a couple of years ago, I think the UK would have won, but not at the moment. What the UK does win at is water rides, which is really weird. You'd think the UK would probably not have that many water rides since it rains kind of all the time. But amazingly, we have some of the best, probably in the world. I mean, I just got off Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. That is easily the best water ride in the UK. It's probably one of the best in Europe, and it is far better than anything I went on in the US so far. So unfortunately, Cedar Point's included in that. And then we also have things like Stormforce 10, which is really good. Like Log Sleep, if it's still operating, is really, really good fun. It just generally, like the UK, like, I mean, in fairness, if we just had Valhalla, it'd be better. So the UK actually takes a point, finally, getting in there with a lovely little point game there. I'll leave it you amongst yourselves whether or not you want to see which one has better family rides, because they're not really something I really bother with. I know Cedar Point has obviously the like Planet Snoopy, and they also have like Dinosaurs Alive and stuff like that. So there is quite a bit to do. It also has like a small zoo and stuff like that for children and such like that. And it obviously does have loads of kid rides. Obviously, don't really spend my time going on them, so it's a little bit difficult to judge. And it's the same with like Fort Park and Alton Towers, for example. I know they have like extensive like kids and family areas, but I don't really go there. So I'm just going to go with tie that. And obviously, if you have like a strong opinion either way on that, then feel free to call the point either way. That'll be fine. Food is going to be a really interesting one. Kind of really weird because the UK actually has some really good kind of food places. I mean, admittedly, we have a lot of fast food places and stuff like that, but overall, it's actually not too bad. I mean, there's a lot more kind of like sit-down restaurants. I mean, I'll tell you what, Oakwood kind of comes from here with flying colours in some ways because they actually have a really nice like kind of food place in the Oak, which kind of is like the hub of their kind of park, and it's actually really, really nice. Food at Cedar Point is probably one of its weaker points, actually. I mean, there's a lot of pizza, like kind of like burritos or like chicken nugget places, but there isn't that many kind of proper food places. And admittedly, that was all with the kind of the dining plan, which is obviously a really, really good idea, and that was really value for money in terms of getting it. But I'd say the UK probably just actually edges out Cedar Point again. You'd like to think that the UK as a country would win more often than not when it comes to like stuff like food and stuff like that. But to each, to each. Interesting. We're going to get on to pricing now, and this is actually really strange because I happen to think that theme parks in the UK are ridiculously expensive, with the exception of Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is kind of like the shining light, which actually happen to be fairly cheap. I do appreciate that you can get tickets cheaper if you book online, but unfortunately, and there's got a few offers, which means as well. But I will say, I think Cedar Point just offers slightly better value, just simply because it's like, yes, you could get like a Merlin pass, and that gives you access to like a few theme parks in the UK. But there's a lot of obviously family-run parks and stuff like Blackpool or Drayton Manor, and it just means that obviously it'd be really, really unfair to see which would be cheaper, as in all of them together. But you get the picture. I think Cedar Point's, not only do you get a lot for your money, but I think it's really good value for money. Would be my point of view. I mean, obviously as well, the Cedar kind of Fair Platinum Pass is just stunning. I know I've done a review of it as well, where it's absolutely brimming with happiness to do with it, and it's the same thing. I think Cedar Point probably is better value, partly because you just get more for your money, you get more bang for your buck. And even though the UK, actually, if you book online or if you use vouchers, is more affordable than it could be, and Blackpool is also more affordable just generally, I think Cedar Point just edges it out there. Right, we're actually going to move on to theming, and there's no contest. This one has to go to the UK. I mean, we have rides like Tidal Wave, like the Swarm, Saw the Ride. Wicker Man looks absolutely awesome, even though I haven't been on it. We just have some really well themed roller coasters over here, and Cedar Point has kind of nothing. Unfortunately, they are not one for theming. They've not really, invested that much money or time into building like extensive like theming, and it's a bit of a shame because it would really kind of probably improve the park, but it's not really what they're going for, so I kind of appreciate it. Europe once again bringing it back to level 3 all at the moment. Let's move on to location. Now this is a bit of a weird one because I think Cedar Point is in pretty much the most perfect, fantastic location out of any park in the world that I've been to, and most of the UK parks are kind of in the middle of nowhere, so they're in quite picturesque places, but they're not particularly practical to get to, or if they are practical to get to, they're in a kind of really meh place. So like, oh great, yeah, like that doesn't really work. Like Blackpool's in a great location in some ways, but there's no room to really expand or anything like that. So you're like, oh great, yeah. No, I think that has to definitely go to Cedar Point. That one is in a fantastic location, like really, really picturesque and pretty. I mean, there's nothing quite so nice as going up Millennium Force's lift hill and just literally having like just a really clear, beautiful blue skies, large body of water on one side, fantastic theme park on the other. Yeah, really, really good. We're also going to move on to staff, and this is a really interesting one. I mean, this will very much come down to what experiences you've had at either park. So obviously you've seen really good staffing or really bad. For example, I tended to find that the staff at Cedar Point, there seemed to be more of them. Getting into the park was far easier, so staff at the front gate were better, really friendly, really helpful. Staff at the little ticket booth as well, where you pay for parking as well, they were really good. Just generally really efficient, really well run. I actually thought the staff at Blackpool Veg Beach were really awesome. The staffing at Fort Park and Alton Towers is very much meh. It's not so much the staff themselves, it's more the fact they seem to have a lack of staff. There seems to be a lack of people kind of near the entrance of the roller coasters and stuff like that, making sure people are high enough or talking to customers. Yeah, it could be somewhere where they could be improved. But overall, they're pretty much very similar, I would say. I'd say possibly just edge from Cedar Point. But obviously, again, it does depend on your own experiences for that one, because it's one of the things, you may have had awful customer experiences at some of these places. So be interested to see which way on that one swings. But I think Cedar Point just about gets it. So we're pretty much going to throw in like a load of miscellaneous stuff into the last category, because obviously I don't want to talk about every little tiny detail. So for example, like how nice like the car parks, how clean are the parks, how what other little activities are there to do, all that sort of good stuff kind of gets thrown in. So for example, things like Drake Manor has a little tiny miniature, and Alton Towers have a little golf course. Great. Sadly, Cedar Point does have like a water park with it, and I do appreciate that Alton Towers in one of their hotels has a bit of a water park, but it's not quite the same. Obviously, Cedar Point does have a few hotels. Alton Towers has a hotel. Drake Manor has a hotel. Blackpool Veg Beach has a hotel. So pretty even there. In fairness, most theme parks are kept really clean, so it's not really any sort of competition there, I suppose. What I will say is obviously the scale of Cedar Point is stunning. It just seems to go on. It's a pretty long walk from one side of it to the other, whereas most UK theme parks are pretty small, with the exception of Alton Towers, actually. Alton Towers is massive. That's because it has a massive gardens and manor house in the middle of it, which is also really cool. It's a bit of a weird one, like the miscellaneous kind of like categories and stuff like that, because it really does depend on what you're looking at, and it's one of the things, it depends on what you prefer. I mean, so for example, Chessington has a zoo, but there are animals at Cedar Point, so it's a bit of an interesting one. I mean, it probably is a tie. There's obviously a load going on at Cedar Point. It's a massive, massive park. It takes over, I think, is it 300 acres or something like that? Which is huge compared to most UK parks, and it has so much going on. And I think it'll probably be a draw. I think I will be honest, I think Cedar Point does just win the contest. Just. Like, I think 4-3, if I can actually count and do maths. But I might have to go back and watch this back to make sure that's right. It's one of the things, I think it's a world-class park. And I don't think any theme park in the UK is world-class. I think Alton Towers and Thorpe Park are good. I think Blackpool's good. But I don't think it quite lays a glove on it, unfortunately. I mean, it does so to show that Cedar Point definitely needs to invest in some really high-quality water rides. They need to see what they've done in the UK for their water rides and, you know, build them over there. I think their food options could be massively improved. And I think they could do a bit more theming. But I think that's all. I think the UK could look at that and go, wow, they have a great selection of roller coasters. Maybe we should build some of those over here, type thing. That'd be excellent. I would also say that I think Cedar Point is, you know, improved and developed far faster than any UK theme park ever has. So I'm going to give it to Cedar Point. I mean, it kind of was maybe set up to be when it's kind of against the country. What US park, or would you like me to do Cedar Point again? Would you like to be to compare next? And would that be with, you know, England again, Europe, you know, anywhere and stuff like that? Like, for example, Spain, Germany. Maybe you'd like me to compare 2 US parks against each other. Anyway, all of that will be revealed on the next video, and hopefully like, comment and subscribe for more videos, and hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Right, catch you guys later.